So welcome away to another Behind the Theme. Today we're talking about Sekigahara again. And today we end the series with the ramifications of the Sekigahara campaign and Tokugawa's victory. I said today we're talking about the victors of the campaign of Sekigahara. So let's get into it. Now, even though Tokugawa had won the battle, he still had the little problem of Hideyori, or rather the Toyotomi. And he could not remove the Toyotomi because his battle was officially against Ishida Mitsunari. So instead of punishing the Toyotomi, they were rewarded. Hideyori, the son of Hideyoshi, was awarded 650,000 koku worth of land, and he was installed in Osaka Castle. And in fact, Hideyori, even in 1603, married one of the Tokugawa princesses. So there was a lot of effort by Tokugawa to make sure that there was stability in this period with the union of the Toyotomi and the Tokugawa. And obvious reason why is because there was a lot of people still owed a lot to Toyotomi Hideyoshi for their rise. And it's also a special year in 1603, 3 years after the Battle of Sekigahara, Tokugawa Ieyasu was finally named shogun, something that every daimyo had been fighting for the whole of the Sengoku Jidai. Now, in my opinion, the sad story of Sekigahara was Kobakawa Hideki, who was caught in between all kinds of cultural loyalty problems and everything like that, of which I think he was just a young man caught in the wrong time at the wrong place. He was awarded Mimasaka and Bizen worth 520,000 koku, rewarded very handsomely for his defection. But the sad thing is that it did not last. The fact that he had turned against Ishida Mitsunari, and to a certain extent that meant he turned against the Toyotomi family, of which Toyotomi Hideyoshi was his adopted father, guilted him to no end, and he basically went crazy. 2 years after the Battle of Sekigahara, he died, and he died without an heir. And all the land that he had amassed, all his lands, were passed back to the Tokugawa. And another person to gain a lot out of the Sekigahara campaign was the Maeda. Now, strangely to say, actually, of the brothers of the Maeda, one actually sided with the Western Army and one sided with Tokugawa and the Eastern Army. And naturally, the one who sided with the forces of the Tokugawa, because he sided against Uesugi Kagekatsu in the east, he was awarded all the lands that his brother owned, and he became the most wealthy daimyo in all of Japan at that point, at a revenue of about 1.25 million koku. In Kyushu though, Kiyomasa was awarded Konishi Yukinaga's lands, and now he had a total 520,000 koku in revenue. 11 years after the Battle of Sekigahara, the conspiracy theory still runs that he met with Tokugawa Ieyasu, and soon after, he died. Now, it was never proven, but many say that it was Tokugawa who basically had poisoned Kiyomasa when he met him, when he went for a visit down south. And to this conspiracy theory, although it can't be proven, it does have compelling reasons, because Kiyomasa was known as a very loyal man to Toyotomi Hideyoshi, as the reasons why you can see it this earlier part of the series. And about a year later, that was the point when Tokugawa Ieyasu finally acted on Hideyori, basically on very, very weak pretenses. Tokugawa attacked Hideyori, seized him and his castle, and basically Hideyori and all his support was killed. And thus, the Toyotomi family was removed out of the equation of the battle for power in Japan. From all accounts, Tokugawa was extremely regretful of this decision, but always a practical man. He knew that as long as the Toyotomi were around, or rather Hideyori was around, that there will be never a full peace in Japan. I think they say he even written the name of the Buddha 10,000 times to atone for this sin. And you would think that Tokugawa would now reign for a long time as shogun. But that was not true. He only held the title of shogun for 2 years, 1603 to 1605, of which then he retired. And the reason why was to give the title to Hidetada, which he had forgiven for the huge mistake at Sekigahara. And this is the point where you can see how great a leader Tokugawa is. He knew that the biggest problems was when power is passed on abruptly, when the leading figure which everybody respects dies, and now someone else takes over without the same clout. By passing on the title of shogun with Tokugawa, very importantly, still alive, and Hidetada ruled as shogun for 10 years with his father's support. And thus, even when Tokugawa Ieyasu died, there was already a base of support for Hidetada, meaning that a very easy progression, a very stable progression, was passed on to the next generation to keep Japan stable, of which this system passed on for another 250 years. Now, a small review. This game, as you can see, I love it. I made a 10 video series on it, and it gives you the best kind of wargaming, in my opinion. You see, it gives you the historical situation, yet it doesn't bog itself down in the minute details, like each family must have the exact number of troops and everything like that. This one, example, the Kobakawa, or every kind of family block was also representing of their affiliate families and all that. And then you had these cards which you can play, which are betrayal cards, which makes you feel like you never knew whoever or you were using in the battle was going to stay loyal. So again, like in the Battle of Sekigahara, you never knew who you could trust and all that, and you always had to make, like Tokugawa, a backup plan. And on top of that, it's not open-ended. It's not that Tokugawa will always win in this game. You know, it leaves itself open and you can create your own history, which is always more cool to me than just a clear representation of the history itself. And on the last point, how great this game is, it just doesn't represent battle. It teaches you that war is fed by logistics. You know, you have to hold supply points, you have to hold castles and everything like that. And because most of the time the game among two equal players, you know, should end with the end of the turn track. And thus, that's points representing all the supplies and everything, and whoever held more sway and control over Japan. Basically, it makes you the commander and for you to go make history. So this is a wonderful game. My favorite game below poker, right? This is my favorite board game, basically. So thank you very much for going through all this with me. Subscribe, give me any comments, and thank you very much. Till next word.